Hello, welcome to my CCR question 3, or Creative Critical Reflection. In this question, I will be going over the skills and capabilities I've developed as a media learner. Okay, so starting off, I went and took a few pictures of some of my friends and selected the ones I thought would be good to work with. This was bearing in mind that my preliminary tasks were going to be for a facial hair magazine, probably the world's first facial hair magazine. My previous knowledge of taking photos was quite limited, so it was a given that these photos weren't the best from this project. For instance, in both pictures I believe there is poor use of negative space and not the best lighting. This, I think, was a mix of my lack of skill with the camera and poor planning. After this, I shot the pictures into InDesign, this being an application I hadn't used many times at all in the past, so it was a bit of a dive into the deep end to complete this to a professional standard. But I gave it my best try, and although not being the worst piece of work in the world, it did become an excellent place to gain feedback and advice from for future endeavours. Now, on to something I was a bit more comfortable trying to produce were my print layouts and then my products. Before I properly produced my print layouts, I drew them up first on pieces of paper, simply taking a picture of them, loading them onto Illustrator to create the official digital product before moving on to the final magazine pieces. After my novice level photography I did earlier in my project, I decided to plan ahead more and define more skills I could put into taking the pictures for my actual magazine. I concentrated this mainly on pictures of my car. I started by picking a nice location for my images and waiting for a sunny day because that was the desired lighting I wanted for my photos. However, taking these in October-November time when the sunlight was nothing but lighting because it was absolutely freezing when taking the photos. Overlooking the frostbite I gained, I used the lighting to my advantage and took as many pictures as I could from all the angles and shots I wanted to take from, this proving to be an excellent jump from my last attempt at photography. I managed to collect a great assemblage of images, which I was more than happy with when designing my magazine print layouts and then my final magazine. After my master showmanship in the photography industry, I took these to my editing computer to import onto my magazine and figure out what needed editing or touching up. I ended up dabbling with many of my images as my editing process went on for my magazine, these coming from personal preference, feedback from my peers, and general experimenting with different bits of composition and editorial makeup. In Photoshop, I improved skills that I already had, such as editing my hue and saturation, my brightness and light intensity, etc. Stuff like that. And then also in InDesign, which is an application I hadn't used much, I managed to learn loads of new things just from watching tutorials given by my teacher or just hints from my teacher or my peers. I think that's pretty much it. I definitely have plenty to improve in my photography and editing skills, but I'm also very happy with how far I've come from the start of this project to now, with the confidence to be able to complete a project like this with more independence next time. Thank you very much for watching and listening to my Creative Critical Reflection. Question 3. Please check out my WordPress and my YouTube channel. Finian Gelder, Media Studies.